Paul Sammeroff, thank you so much for coming on Business Spotlight Interviews. Welcome.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Why don't we just start off by, Paul, you introducing the company, telling us what you do and how long you've been doing it?
With pleasure. The company is called PAS Capital. Some people refer it to Pass Capital. Um, we are a recruitment company which focuses on our kind of key sectors are oil and gas and renewables. We're not limited to that, but that's kind of currently our kind of key focus. Since then, we've incorporated a couple other parts of the business. We have PS Capital, which is PF Capital Sports, which is executive search within the football industry. And on top of that, we sponsor a couple athletes. And then we have PS Capital Health and Social, which is more placing your likes of registered nurses, etc., for care homes and the likes of your NHS. And then lastly, we've recently opened our kind of PS Capital Sports podcast. But again, my business, our kind of key focus is recruitment in oil and gas and renewables, but we have other entities under the kind of PS Capital banner.
So, how long have you been doing this, Paul? And also, how long have you been a business owner in total?
Yeah, so I went to recruitment in 2011 and then small sabbatical within that time frame. But I'd probably say the best part of, 10 or so years. This company was incorporated on the 2nd of January 2020. So really good timing 2 months before COVID.
And so, what would you say has been your biggest learning since you've been a business owner? We're just going to get right into the meat of the thing now. So, this is what people want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you start a business, people just think the glitz and glam. Oh, I'm my own boss, and all the money's mine. And what people really don't understand, there's so much that's involved. What happens if a client doesn't pay you in time? Um, you know, you don't ever foresee a COVID's going to happen because let's be honest, 2020, the crux of our business is international recruitment. So that is getting visas for individuals to go and travel and work for us abroad. During COVID, that was pretty much impossible. Um, if you are working by yourself, you don't really have anybody to, kind of bounce ideas. The 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 time that you have to put into it, even from setting up your bank accounts to websites, if you need to become VAT registered. There's all the intricacies that people probably don't think about when they work for another company, because another company will probably have a legal team, a finance team, um, even goofy little things about phone lines and your internet in your office. There's so many little things that you probably won't think of when you work for somebody else. And then you're going to put them all together and try and make it work whilst trying to win business, which is whether you're providing a service or you're selling a product. So I think a lot of people, when they start a business, that's probably the biggest thing, is that they don't realize all the intricacies that come into it, and the time that can really be spent putting it all together.
Don't underestimate the work required. and the
Yeah, I mean, literally, I mean, even now, my day yesterday was I had a small 14 and a half hour day yesterday. So
Yeah. Well, how do you so on that subject then, how do you balance your personal life with the demands of being a business owner?
yeah, really good one. I appreciate that. That's a great question, Andy. So for me, there's nothing more important than my family. That's quality time with my children. Um, so my schedule is pretty much, I know I've got the school run in the morning, and from the school run, I'm straight into the office. And then pretty much I know what my cutoff point should be per day. Now, obviously, things can change and you might have to tweak here and there. But I've got to that stage. At the beginning, it's definitely not like that. At the beginning, you've just got to be responsive. You've got to be reactive and proactive. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess maybe more kind of that's experience. I've now got to where I am, but it's taken me 3.5 years to get to this position within the business, you know. So the 3.5 years, or maybe 2.5 years prior, definitely wasn't too much of a routine. You want to try and have a routine, but it's very difficult to have that right from the get-go.
And I guess you've had to make some sacrifices in terms of your personal time in the early days of the business to cover all the intricacies and minutia.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at it, even a professional athlete, the ones that want to rise to the top, they go above and beyond. They put the extra hours in after training. They are doing their rehab better, their whatever they're, whichever's required. It's the exact same when you run a business. You've got to, if you really want to do things right and you want to be the top of your chosen sector, whether it's a business turning over 50,000, 100,000, or 5 million, you've got to put it in. You know, these are it's kind of standard practice when you want to become a business owner.
So, what would you say have been some of the biggest issues you've had to overcome as a business owner? Setting aside the, setting up the phones and the website and
Yeah,
everything like that.
they're actually easy problems. So the biggest problems that I had, unfortunately, I went to business with two individuals who very different in than I wanted to go into business with, or what I thought. When I was going into business with these two individuals, one incredibly successful in his own right, but he had no, almost like a sleeping partner, right? So he was the monetary side of things, but not involved in the day-to-day business. The other person who was supposed to be just didn't do it, just didn't put his hours into this business. So that for me was a huge hurdle. I think when you yeah, categorically that would be the number one hurdle for me, was finding the right people within the business. Then you talk about staff as well. Staff it's very difficult, and I'm in recruitment, so finding the right people to work for your business, who, because they don't own the business or they don't own share the business, they're going to look at it as different. It's a job for them at the end of the day. You hope that they fall into your kind of family values and they really want to, help you grow and stuff, but you don't know what's going on in their personal lives. You don't know what their aspirations are for the future. Well, I'm sure you can have some conversations, but when you've just hired somebody, it can be difficult to kind of find out kind of what's their key drivers and motivators to get them going. So they're a couple of the kind of problems that I had setting up this business.
So, what are the qualities that you do look for in employees when you're recruiting for your own company?
Great question. I I really want people who show respect, but also want to obtain respect from others. So that is somebody coming in time. They're kind, they're courteous. They'll go that little bit of an extra mile if they saw, I don't know, a little tea, coffee stain in the kitchen. They might have the decency to wipe it. These are little things, but generally that's a big thing for me. I just think if you try and find a good person, somebody with good core values, everyone comes from different backgrounds, but somebody who values family and friends, it's a big thing for me. I want an environment where it's a cohesive environment. People work together. It's a teamwork. It's not just somebody being selfish, want to be the biggest biller and they only care about themselves. I want people to work as a team within my business.
So, what are your aspirations for PA's Capital for the next 5 years, Paul?
So now in year 4, I think as a company, probably in the recruitment sector within Scotland, I'd say we are a pretty well-known brand and name, but I'd want to be one of the biggest recruitment companies in Scotland for sure. And I think it's a realistic achievement. We've expanded our office recently. We've expanded our numbers. We have operations in 2 other countries, but we'd like to expand that into further afield as well. It's not really about winning accolades per se, but I think that's a beautiful thing because it shows you're on the right path. For, I don't know, for example, top 10 places to work, or for example.
I don't mind an accolade.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Um, what are your thoughts? So you're in recruitment, right? So people, this is something people want to hear, which is your thoughts on the current employment situation in Scotland specifically. I think, well, mostly Scottish business owners listening to this. What's going on out there?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of work. There generally is a lot of work, and there's a lot of competition. I think nowadays companies are trying to be more competitive by maybe offering like a hybrid role. Um, I personally, as a business, we definitely do better when we're all together in the office because we're bouncing ideas off each other. Um, Albeit we've been given flexibilities on the Fridays to work from home or to work in the office. I think that's been quite a big one. I think other people are diversifying more, so they're open to looking at other opportunities. Whether that's a completely different opportunity. I mean, we've had people that maybe been a flight attendant, uh, or I'm trying to think what other kind of unique roles that we've had. But we've had kind of salespeople with no experience in recruitment and no sales experience, but figured they'd be good with people that they've joined our business. I think we also really benefited from the government grants because people that through the government grant, I think we've hired maybe 8 people full time. And again, what the beautiful thing about the government grant was is that it allowed these people to work, these individuals to work 24 hours a week, uh, paid albeit minimum wage by the government, but we were topping them up with commissions, etc., etc. And that definitely helped our business grow. But that's unique. I mean, that's never been offered before, at least not in my lifetime.
So there's plenty of work out there to be had, and there's plenty of good talent out there. But I
I
guess
think there is, but I think a lot of companies are struggling to find people because there's a huge demand just now, but not that many people out there, or not enough.
I think employers need to get better at recruitment, don't they? And they need, probably they need more expertise like what you guys have to offer so that we can be better at identifying and attracting the best talent.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen recently a couple really interesting packages with companies offering private medical health care. Another company was offering gym memberships. Yeah, I think again, I repeat that the hybrid's been a huge thing. I think so many people were very comfortable during COVID, working from home. So it was quite a unique one. You'd see a hairdresser, renting out 10 spaces in their salon, but next thing you know, well, that person's just going to open a mini salon at home. That's a very random thing for me to bring up, but yeah, just an example that people have been changing their mindsets and being more open to different opportunities, etc.
So employers are going to need to start adapting their thinking around what they're actually offering if they want to attract the best talent
Agreed.
and be
Agreed.
more flexibility.
Agreed. Yep, absolutely. And you're hearing it from somebody who's in recruitment 24/7.
Well, that's why I'm asking you. I'm not talking this at this length about recruitment to most of my interviewees, but I just really want to tap into your brain, about what's going on out there in recruitment at the moment. So yeah, appreciate your feedback on that.
Yeah, no, like it's interesting times for sure. It is. And you've also got other things you've got to deal with. Sorry, Andy, just to be a little bit off topic, but you've got to remember now it's different to maybe when we were younger. Nowadays there's also additional things that we've got to think about as employers, and that's things like mental health. And this was huge. I mean, it's something I really needed to learn about, and we just discussed this internally, speak to human resources, and there's a lot of intricacies that, again, as a business owner, going back to your point before, something I never even thought about. But employees are incredibly important to your employers, and they're the only ones that can help you grow and build a sustainable and a positive business.
100%. 100%. So What would you, and this is the last question, Paul.
Sure.
What would you say to anyone thinking of going into business for themselves? What advice would you give?
I would definitely tell them to speak to or find a mentor or two, somebody who can really, really, you can ask them questions, bounce ideas across them. You can, because if you're speaking to somebody who's been there, done it, they'll tell you pros, cons, what worked, what didn't work. Um, that's a huge thing. And if I'm really honest, I think that people should try and partner with people who they know exactly what they're going to bring to the table. So there's no hidden surprises. If you know that you work 60 hours, but that person works 40 hours, and you're content with that, then you know right from the get go what you're bringing to the table. Um, it's what I say to anyone who is, if anyone is actively looking or thinking about starting, I know this is exactly what you guys do, offering mentorship and stuff. It's brilliant to reach out, and I think that's really test to you guys what you guys offer. I'm also very, very happy if anyone's got any questions to drop me a message on LinkedIn or email. If I can help, I'm delighted to do so.
Well, your contact details will definitely be going out with the video for sure.
I
So
appreciate it.
appreciate that offer. Look, Paul, thank you so much for speaking to us today. I mean, some really great. I've taken quite a lot of notes here myself, and I'm sure everybody that watches the video is going to take something away from today. So thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure, and thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks, Paul.
Cheers, Andy.